All right, hi, I'm Eric Rich. I'm a partner at Elixirr. Today I'm here with Dirk Hrobsky, who's the EVP and MD of New York operations at Cushman Wakefield. Dirk, how are you doing today?
I'm well, Eric, and how are you?
Doing great, doing great. It's good to talk to you. Hope everyone's keeping well in this interesting and unprecedented difficult time we have going on. In this series, we're recording interviews with business leaders around the world, talking about what businesses are doing to recover in their recovery planning as the economy is beginning to reemerge from this pandemic. So we want to talk to different leaders and understand what they're doing around innovation, what opportunities this is presenting for businesses, and just understand a little bit about how people are getting back to work. So obviously in your business, being in corporate real estate, I'm sure you guys are helping your clients with a lot of unprecedented challenges, as well as rethinking your own business. What are the kind of things you're seeing out there now as companies are going to more of a work from home model? How is this changing how you guys are thinking about your business, and what are people really looking forward to in the future?
Sure, Eric. We're seeing a lot of change, as you mentioned. Cushman Wakefield's a massive company, 53,000 people globally. We're seeing all sorts of sectors responding in different ways. Industrials different than retail, different than office. And there's no uniform answer for any of that in terms of how people are responding to the issues of the day.
Yeah, makes sense. What do you think it will mean in terms of corporate office space? I mean, are people going to return back to office buildings in the same way that we've seen them in the past, or do you think there'll be some differences going forward?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of differences that had already worked their way into the business model through shared space providers. I see landlords interested in trying to support that need in the marketplace, which is to say more flexible terms, more ability to flexibly expand and contract within a space, the ability to have a license agreement rather than a lease agreement. I think these are all issues that owners are relatively, sort of working on in terms of trying to figure out, can they do that? Does underwriting stand up with them playing sort of a shared space provider model for some of the floors within their portfolio? But I think it's yet to be determined. I think right now we're in a state of flux. We have some data points on where markets are. We see some leases happening. We don't see a lot of sales happening yet. But on the commercial side, it's going to take some time for people to make up their minds and to get directional on, the path that makes sense for them to return to the office space. I think in many respects, whether you're communications, consulting, investment banking, legal sector, technology, fintech, everybody's approaching getting back to the workspace in a different way. And there's no uniform response for any particular occupier out there. I think what we're seeing, and Cushman Wakefield has invested a lot of capital in being a thought leader in this respect, obviously with tens of millions of square feet and thousands of large corporate occupiers that span from retail to office to industrial and the like. You see a lot of different reactions in the marketplace, and there's no sort of unifying theme in terms of how these groups are reacting. I think what many people are doing, and what we're instructing people to do, is ask your clients, ask your customers. For every head of HR, their customers are the employees. Who wants to come back to work? Who's not working optimally remotely? Business leaders have to recognize that their workforce is very different across hierarchical structure, across familial needs, personal needs, and the like. Some people ride a bike to work like I do every day, and that's great. Some people have to get on a subway. Some people have to get on a commuter rail to get to a subway to get to the office. Some people drive. It's different for every market. We're working with clients that are coming out with a playbook. They're delivering it to their people. They're asking their people through a surveying method on what their preference is in terms of getting back to the workplace, and then they're acting from there.
And I guess a lot of it would also depend on location and where they are in the U.S. and how those economies are doing as well. What types of things are your clients at Cushman asking you guys for help with right now, other than, I mean, your traditional, finding them office space and setting up plans, but what other things are they asking you for right now?
So our clients rely on us for site selection, figuring out where their portfolios ought to be around the world. They rely on us for building them buildings, leasing them spaces, building their spaces, helping them move into their spaces, expanding, contracting, and the like. They ask us to buy them assets, sell them assets. And our business is principally occupiers and investors in real estate. So you can imagine the continuum that we serve. The number one uniform question before April 1st was, should I be paying my rent? Communication is absolutely the most important thing when you're working with an owner. Communicate to them if you're not going to pay rent. Communicate to them if you need a rent holiday. Communicate to them your financial situation so that they can work in partnership with you to support your obligation, to support their obligations, so on and so forth. So I think communication is the number one thing that we are, proselytizing to our constituents, in that communicate what's happening, and people are trying to be as reasonable as they can and support tenants. I think what's interesting is where the market goes from here. And as I said, I think a lot of it's behavioral, but you're going to see a softening, over the next probably 9 months. And that's a result of real estate probably being a lagging indicator relative to equities and other forms of securitized assets. We're seeing the market, maybe bottom a number of weeks ago, and maybe it's building a base and coming back. You're going to see real estate probably in August, when decision makers are coming back. I think everybody's dealing with crisis right now, and good leadership doesn't allow you to make decisions, or you shouldn't make decisions in times of crisis. So I think decisions start to get made in August, executing September, October, and through the end of the year. And then you'll start to see, in the last quarter this year or first quarter of next, where values are settling. Is it 10%, 20% more off on rents? What has availability done? Has that increased substantially? Have the big NASDAQ companies continued to double down their efforts in big global cities? I think a lot of that will sort of determine where markets go and how quickly they go there. But I'd say New York's really been a beneficiary of a lot of new sectors coming in because of groups like Google, Facebook, all the big companies that have doubled and tripled down in New York. You're seeing the same thing happening in Texas. You're seeing the same thing happening in Austin, Texas. You're seeing it in a lot of secondary markets. So behavior will be the thing to watch that will determine where valuations go. But again, I think you got to be bullish. We'll come out of this in a positive way. I do think that there's a lot of smart people thinking about ways that we can give people more flexibility. There's an opportunity to build a better support platform for the way people work, when they work, how they work.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think as you said, I mean, we'll see a lot of new innovation out of this, a lot of change in how people both want to work and are enabled to work, and it's going to be really interesting. I hope, certainly hope we're on the tail end of it, and the economy is going to get back in swing soon. So, well, listen, I really appreciate your time. Thanks very much, Dirk.
My pleasure.
For anyone who's tuned in, we'll have more interviews like this with other business leaders in the coming weeks, and hope you'll tune in. If you find this interesting, or you're doing something interesting you want to share around this topic, please use the comments below the LinkedIn message to let us know, and we'll be in touch. And if you don't mind, please follow our Elixirr company page on LinkedIn, and we'll hope you find it useful. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dirk.
My pleasure, Eric. Take care.